Hi, just a quick video, just a writing on the wall where I put my knowings, my psychic knowings, research, ponderings, and whatever in between. This is just a quick one for something that popped up on Twitter that I really wanted to share because it is a big punch to the UK British government. I'll just share the screen here. So I'll go back to the top. I'm going to zoom in for your benefit for my reading. So this is the BMJ. It is a huge medical journal and it's been established for many years, trusted for many years. It's relied upon by universities. We use British Medical Journal documents many a time to research and whatnot. The library at the university is full of it, full of them. And also a lot of the medical books with medicinal descriptions, safety precautions and dosages, age groups and whatnot is provided here by the BMJ. So it is a huge part of the medical establishment. So it says here, BMJ, again, British Medical Journal, lashes out at state corruption and suppression of science in UK. And there we have Boris Johnson. What a mess. So one of the world's oldest and most respected medical journals has published a damning attack on the UK government, saying science is being suppressed for political and financial gain, in the mould of some of history's worst autocrats and dictators. The journal argued that COVID-19 had unleashed state corruption on a grand scale, and that politicians and industry are guilty of, quote, opportunistic embezzlement. Wow, that is huge. The British Medical Journal, officially the BMJ since 1988, published the article entitled COVID-19, Politicisation, Corruption and Suppression of Science in its most recent edition. In an unusually political intervention, the journal accuses the government of claiming to follow the science when in reality, government appointees are able to ignore and cherry pick science from another form of misuse and indulge in anti-competitive practices that favour their own products and those of friends and associates. This is damning for sure from this kind of BMJ type of article. You know, they don't get into the political realm very much at all. I don't remember anything like this ever coming from this source. Written by executive editor Cameron Abbasi, the article highlights at least 4 examples of suppression of science or scientists from the English government's pandemic response. The first of these is the initial secrecy of the government's sage advice, which was only made public after a press leak. Go figure. The revelation that Dominic Cummings was allowed to sit in on these meetings, while public health, clinical care, women and ethnic minorities were underrepresented, is highlighted in the BMJ piece. Abbasi points to scientists being told not to speak to the media and the suppression of key paragraphs from Public Health England, PHE, reports. Before accusing PHE of attempting to block the publication of scientific report into efficiency of antibody tests procured by Westminster. This is me talking, the same tests that the actual patented maker of these tests before his death exclaimed that these tests cannot isolate COVID-19. You know, if you've been poorly, all it can tell you is that you've got a virus, maybe a virus that falls under the corona umbrella of viruses, but you know, that ranges from any of the flus to a cold. So, you know, it's not to say that it isn't real, but it's just a part of the same thing. We've never shut down the world or even a country for the flu. It goes on, sorry to say, I'm trying not to interject too much. I'm both annoyed and excited because this is a huge punch to the UK government and a huge affirmation to those that have tried to scream this out in the UK, me being one of them. Where was I? The BMJ and the science shows that in the, quote, real world, these tests' performance, quote, falls well short of claims made by its manufacturers, something that the government and PHE were trying to suppress. They ask, why was it important to procure this product without due scrutiny? You know, people over here, myself included, have been screaming out about the absolute evidence regarding these tests, what they can be used for and can't be used for. And with tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorists, I'll wear my tinfoil hat proudly. So the BMJ goes on to highlight that this suppression of science is, quote, not new or peculiarly a British phenomenon, comparing Boris Johnson's government's actions with that of Donald Trump's in the USA. I know that's not going to go down well, but he did allow all of those funds to be spent on tests that every bit he would have known do not work, cannot work, and will not work for what they're saying they're doing. So it is what it is. So we've got globally, it adds people, policies, and procurement of, are being corrupted by political and commercial agendas. Wow. In a thinly veiled attack on Johnson's Tories, Abbasi finishes, politicization of science was enthusiastically developed by some of history's worst autocrats and dictators and is now regrettably commonplace in democracies. You know what? That couldn't be more true. You know, since it seems globalism is part of the organized religion part of the globalism, and globalists have very much been in too much control, if not all control, of or those behind the globalists at least, of governments around the world. Not all, but many. And it is regrettable that it's commonplace, and we need to not have that complacency about it, no matter who the character is in front of the political stage. The medical political complex tends towards suppression of science to aggrandize and enrich those in power, which it has ridiculously so. Sorry for interjecting again. You know, all of Boris's buddies have done very, very well through the privatization of the responses, certain responses that he puts out to this so-called pandemic. And as the powerful become more successful, richer, and further intoxicated with power, the inconvenient truths of science are suppressed. This article is fantastic. When good science is suppressed, people die. The article comes at a time when the UK government is under intense fire for cronyism and corruption, and indeed Boris has been paying his cronies, which meaning his friends, a great deal, and shutting down people's businesses and losing people's jobs in the meantime. The Tories hired Kate Bingham, the wife of Treasury Minister and cousin by marriage to Boris Johnson's sister, as head of Vaccines Task Force, despite her having nil experience in the field. They have also hired Mike Coupe as Director of COVID Testing and Dido Harding as Head of Test and Trace, neither of whom have had any previous related experience. Now, not that I agree with any of these aspects, no the vaccines, no the testing, or definitely not the track and trace. Even then, I don't agree with them, but a lot of money is being spent on them and has lined the pockets of these people, and they don't even work. It doesn't even work. And so going on, there has also been a scandal around George Pascal Watson, the chairman of lobbying firm Portland Communications, which represents pharmaceutical firms, weapons manufacturers, and banks. Oh, going to do some more reading. The lobbyist was allowed to sit in on top-level UK government coronavirus strategy meetings and leak sensitive information to his clients, despite never having a publicly announced role. So you see, if he's been allowed to sit in a top level while we're being distracted, all of the rules have been thrown out the flaming window. Even their own rules have been thrown out the flaming window. And nobody's listened to the likes of us screaming out saying that this is what is happening. It has to stop, because you see, him leaking sensitive information to his clients means that they're going to line their pockets a lot, because already they'll have been discussing the businesses that are shutting down, the types of strategies they're going to use next, whether they're going to push masks. So these clients of his can then go out and put a lot of stocks, buy a lot of shares in certain things, or indeed stockpile in order to sell the things themselves before anybody else can or could. It's disgusting what's been going on. The Tory government have handed contracts worth at least 526.3 million to firms linked to their party for the supply of PPE alone, of which was a great failure also. He's handed over that much and they still couldn't make sure that NHS staff had all of this PPE they were saying that they needed all of a sudden. So again, money laundering. This has been money laundering. While businesses have stayed shut down, doing as they're told. You've got to stop doing as you're told, people. These people aren't even pirates. They are lower than the low. They have been stealing freedom and stealing people's sustainability and making you feel guilty for it, that you were going to be killing people for maintaining yourself and your own family. It's ridiculous. It disgusts me. Many of these contracts were awarded without due process, and sometimes to firms which had no prior experience in the field. Wow. The conflicts of interest are just insurmountable. The SNP have written to the Prime Minister to demand an investigation to this, quote, rampant Tory cronyism at the heart of the UK government. These people need to be taken out of their seats physically and locked up in cells. Because immediately, if we did that, this problem would disappear. And then finally, we could maybe see the snakes that they've been opening the doors to take more freedom away with more plans in line. This has to stop. Commenting on the BMJ editorial, a government spokesperson said it is deliberately inflammatory to suggest government has been anything other than supportive to our world-beating science and research sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, our pandemic response will continue to be guided by the best available scientific advice, and we remain committed to being transparent. Yeah, that was transparent as a dirty bin liner, Boris. They added that the antibody tests were never intended for widespread use, but only in surveillance studies. Sorry, I'm interjecting again, but that's why they were going round with army with no legal right to do so, knocking on people's doors, pressurizing people to take the test on their doorstep by untrained army kids. They were sending out kids. Surveillance, my arse. And that it was inaccurate to say that the government had delayed publication of PHE report to the tests. Liar, liar, Boris on fire. The BMJ article, which Abbasi references, published online on November the 12th, states PHE staff warned of significant risks in not publishing the PHE evaluation, showing the low accuracy of the tests, and asked whether holding back the results had been agreed by ministers. The department replied, "Yes, everyone is aligned as far as I know. Number 10, now aligned. As far as I know, are you not getting paid to know it all? Are you not getting paid to know all of it? Is that not what you're there for?" Wow, I don't know if there's any more to that, but wow. So this, anyway, as far as good news is, this is a huge, heavy hitting punch to this guy here and all of his cronies. And if there is any justice, and if enough people will wake up, we can say, give us back the money. Let us infuse that into all of the businesses that you were forced shut. Let us put a full stop to your globalist plans. Give back the money, because it was taken and spent via fraudulent processes, knowingly fraudulent, suppressing the science, suppressing the accuracy of these tests. And after reading things like this, and people like myself screaming out for as long as before this even started, if you go and still get that test, and if you go and still volunteer yourself to change your DNA, I don't know what to say. These people that are doing that right now, they're choosing their timeline. But what I will not accept is that the numbers allow these globalists to choose the timeline for us all. Because as I've stated before, and I stated very early on, and some people had a problem with it, World War II didn't end. Scientists from World War II that did the greatest atrocities were accepted into the highest echelons of America, Russia, the UK, and wherever else they went. And the conditioning and control just got even more shiny and new and subtle. And again, going by the cycles as they do astrologically, these shadowy figures behind these puppets, you know, it was all priming everybody for the bang. And so people are like boiling frogs. I don't know what else to say when such you know, fair enough, don't listen to what you're going to go tinfoil hats because you've been conditioned not to do so. But when the very people who you have been, you know, sort of quoting, like the WHO and whatnot, to say, you non-mask wearer, you dirty non-mask wearer, when the same caliber but better as far as lack of fraud is concerned, medical journal comes out with this kind of report, with this kind of article, please take that as the invitation to invite clear thinking into your mind, and please share this out with everybody. And if they don't understand what the BMJ is and the stature that it has within the medical field, explain it to them. Share this video, because what is it going to take? You know, people are saying, you know, what is it going to take? I mean, you know, there were terrible figures in World War II, terrible figures on all sides, on all sides. There were awful figures, but what don't like is that what really killed the people, you know, because evil can lurk at all times. But what really killed so many people is that I can feel, and I've done this from 2019, I've been speaking about it on many videos since 2019. I can feel myself looking through the lenses of the people that are us, but then, that could see the conditioning, that could see the manipulation, that could see the control, trying to stop it, but being called, you know, whatever they were being called, similar to conspiracy nut. And we're looking through this lens, we're looking through this same lens again, because we allow these beings to keep repeating their history by their numbers, by their fake ass calendar. And so this is where, you know, the main thing that killed people, when you take away all of the apparatus, when you take away all of the ways of torture, the real thing that ended up killing the most people was complacency. And I've kept saying this and saying this and saying this, and to have these saviors, whoever they are, in this political game, I understand hope. I understand wanting to put hope. But you're not going to get hope from any political figure who has been at all part of this, complicit with it, quiet with it. You're not. They've all heard the scientists that were given real evidence, that were telling them you can't isolate one COVID from another. You just can't, especially not with that test. They've all heard that, and they all carried on regardless. They all know the risks of you know what. And they all carried on regardless and invested a lot. We cannot expect change looking through the same goddamn lens. We can't. Well, now I've got that off my chest, I'll let you go. It's just, it's pretty amazing. But, you know, good things where good things are, and this is a good thing. But please, if you don't want to spread and share my rant, then that's fine. But please go on Twitter. I'll leave a link, if I can, in the description box of this Twitter page. So even if you don't feel comfortable with my ad-libbing and my commentary to that, because I understand it's annoying to me, so I was literally transmuting as I read that. Go on that page, go on that link in the description box, and please share this out, you know, and feel confident in saying, you know, if you haven't got time to research what the BMJ is, feel confident in saying that it is a very well respected, very well established medical journal of many years, and its studies are taken very, very seriously, and to the point where the BMJ in the UK, at the very least, is in charge of making sure each doctor's surgery, each ward on each hospital has different BMJs regarding every kind of medication, regarding the doses, the age appropriateness, the other names for the same medication, the side effects, the risk factor, you know, all of those things. And so these people have been trusted for a long, long time in the medical field. So you know, these people who are quoting the WHO and Fauci and whoever else, who is actually being shown to be very fraudulent in themselves, both on both counts, you know, if they want to quote that, then they must listen to this too. If they want to go by the science, then go by the damn science, not by the cherry-picked science. I could make any science, I could attach any science experiment to anything. And if I had the money and if I had the means, I could let you know that it did everything I wanted to let you know it did. And I could hide everything that I didn't want you to see. Because science is experiments observed. So if you can pay the people who are observing and who are using their titles to write the results enough. In fact, if you own the observation lab and if you employ the observers, it's very easy to mold and change the perception of any result of science. But there are enough people and many years of using the PCR tests to say that you can't all of a sudden change what these tests can magically do by not changing a damn thing about them, just repackaging them and relabeling them to say that, yeah, they do this now, go figure, shut the country down. Because we ask ourselves, what is the harm? Well, the harm is by a lot of these numbers that these tests have generated. And by the way, the efficiency of the test gets lower and lower and lower and lower when you repeat to test any one person. So this push and drive to test college kids every day or every week, that was all a ploy to drive up the numbers that they could quote to create fear in the hearts of the people. So that's why this is so important. A key part of that very fraudulent, very dark and evil activity on the UK government, the US government, the Australian government, wherever else governments that have been using these tests, you know, they know that by doing that they can drive up the numbers, and by doing that they have put the fear into people's hearts so much so that they're willing to lose everything. Because then even when they start to wake up and think we're losing everything, enough people that were cushy enough on benefits or cushy enough, you know, with enough money or retired, you know, would be screaming out, virtue signaling all over the place, like a dog in heat, you know, regarding, you're not keeping my grandmother safe, you're going to kill my grandfather for not wearing a mask or for not getting tested. So the pressure increases. This was the same in World War II. The lead up to World War II was carbon copy of this propaganda, turning people against one another, using fake science, using fake vitriol, using fake statements regarding one side to another. So this is where we need to nip this in the bud. So if you don't want to share my rant, I don't care, that's fine. That's fine. I don't hold any ego in this. Just please share this link over and over and over again. Make it go viral. Let it be heard, because it is a huge thing and it should be trending on Twitter right now. And it was for a very short time and now it's not. So, you know, please keep sharing it everywhere, because this means a lot. This is a good thing. And high five to Cameron Abashi of the BMJ Journal for writing this piece and not holding back. So much love to everybody. You know, balance and harmony again. So, but we do observe and we do talk, and that's how we keep the lines open, and that's how we catch them out more of what they are doing. So, love you all. Thank you for listening to my rant. I had to gone a bit puffy because I tattooed them yesterday. So they're a bit puffy, so don't be worrying. I'm not having a reaction or anything. I just did them late last night, so they're a bit puffy today. All right, I love you all. Stay balanced and stay whole. Mwah.